Okay, I want to make a video today about what motivates people. That's always been a subject that's fascinated me a lot because it's what runs the world. Why people do the things that they do. What are their motivations? So I kind of wanted this to be like a back and forth conversation with other people. At some point, I'd like to be interviewing other people. But, anyways, the things I thought of as far as what motivates people and what motivated me to make this video and have this line of reasoning is a friend who keeps asking, like, well, the state has no reason to be doing what they're doing. You think this is all one big conspiracy. Do you know how crazy that sounds? So his question is basically what's motivating our state leaders, I'm in Utah, to be doing the things that they're doing. So I got to thinking about that, and I have been for a long time, but I really wanted to get my thoughts in order. And the things I came up with were there's two sides of it. There's a devious side of why you're motivated, and that could be anything. And then there's a altruistic or a godly, a good side of why you're motivated. And we would hope, right, as good people, that the majority of our choices and what drives us would be, which hand did I use? Would be the good side, would be motivated by goodness and God and um, doing it for the right reasons, for doing what's right and doing what's best for yourself, your family, your other people. I got someone at my door. So the three things I thought of that were, on the negative or darker side, you could call it evil, is money. That's a big one. That's a really big one. We know that, right? Money motivates. Um, Even if you have somebody who is not an evil person, money will still motivate you because if you think about what's going on in our world right now, a lot of us are hurting for money because our businesses have been destroyed or um, harmed in some way, and we're struggling, or we've lost our job, or we've had to get a different job because we wouldn't wear a mask or something. So, anyways, because of integrity. So, money is a big one. If you're motivated by money, that's not altruistic, that's not godly, that's not good. But again, money can be a good motivator. It doesn't have to always be evil or bad. If you're motivated to make money for your family, I'm not saying that's evil or wrong or bad. Only if it is paired with making decisions that are not based on integrity, that are not good. So if you're motivated by money and you're willing to sell your soul, you're willing to give up your morals and values in order to make that money, that's when it becomes evil and wrong or whatever. But I didn't mean to say that you can't be motivated by money at all, because I think that motivation to earn money to take care of yourself and your family, that can be a good thing. So anyway, so money, that's a big one. Second one was, what I wrote down was power. So that, I think everything I've written down can have a good side and a bad side too, because you can have the power of God, motivated by the power that God has given you. But I've, if you can see my notes, I've written that down on the bad side. Or did I even write that down? It's hard to show that upside down like that. But the three things that were like negative motivation were money, power, and reputation. And I just don't see how any of those, again, in the context that I thought of them, could be good. I'm losing some sunlight there. So, there we go. That's better. Then the other side of it, so you're either motivated by something bad, evil, negative, money, power, reputation, like I'm only going to do things what people think about me. That's not good. That's really negative. That's really dark to make your decisions based on what people will think of you. That's not making your decisions based on what's right and what God wants you to do, or what you know to be true and good. So the other side of the equation, I forgot which hand I used, but here's the dark side. Or no, that's my right hand. So here's the dark side, my left hand, money, power, and reputation. Please comment below if you can think of others. These are just what I thought of. On the right hand side, I have integrity, God, goodness, love, motivated by love. Okay, so those are kind of like an umbrella of all good, positive things. So I'm sure there's hope, I mean, there's a whole lot of words that can be associated with God and with love and with doing the right thing. Integrity is doing the right thing no matter what, and without courage, integrity doesn't exist. It just doesn't. You have to be willing to make those right decisions no matter what. So if you don't have courage and push comes to shove and you have to make that correct and right decision when it's hard, you don't really have integrity if you don't have the courage to do it when it gets hard. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to premise the video off with. So what is motivating our state leaders? Because the president is not locking us down. The president is not forcing all these things like masks and business closures and regulations. He's not the one doing this. I think some of it might be connected with the state, with businesses and the CARES Act, with people getting money with businesses. I haven't vetted this yet, but I believe at some point I read, again, if you know, please comment below, that there are the funding that businesses are getting for being a small business and hurting through COVID, is that it's associated with having to put out your signage, the correct signage, in order to get the money. Why else would they be doing it, you guys? It has to be money. It has to be. So that's where they got the plexiglass, the money for the plexiglass, the money for all the signage, all the stickers on the floor, and all that kind of crap like that. They're getting money. They're not paying for that themselves. Are you kidding me? Businesses will scrimp and save to try to make a profit, and so they're not going to just willy-nilly spend money on plexiglass. Guess what? Plexiglass is expensive. That ain't cheap stuff. So anyways, so what is motivating these governors? So it's not the president, it's the governors and other local elected officials who are doing the tyrannical things. And Utah's no different. Utah's probably even worse than a Democrat-led, because most of the governors that are doing the horrible tyrannical things are typically blue states, typically Democrat, socialist type states. Well, Utah is an enigma, an interesting one, because it is a red state, but it's really a blue state. Most of our elected officials have turned, and that's another thing I was going to talk about is what happens to those people who were full of integrity. I can name a couple names. For example, is it Mike Lee? Yeah, Mike Lee. Like he is. I think he's one of the few, and Travis Sigmiller, who really do have integrity. But Mike Lee has done some things lately that make you question. So, and a lot of the legislators and representatives have gone in, but I tell you that those political offices are a beast. And anybody who's intelligent and has studied the founding documents and understand the foundation of our country, they're going into office saying, don't let me be in there for very long. I don't want to be in there for more than 4 years or something. They say that because they know there's a danger. They know no matter how good, decent of an integrity-driven person you are, you go in the lion's den. You're in the den of evil, corruption, and you get lost. It's easy to get lost and not be able to find your way. But here's the thing. Not only does it mess with your head, but, and I know this on a personal level, but I'm not going to say which legislator it is, but I know that they're threatened. So once you get in office, then you have to deal with two things, right? If you are one of those people that has integrity and is willing to do the right thing no matter what, and not cave And that's a tricky line, isn't it, between um, what's the word? Um, compromising. Compromising between both sides or different individuals. But when you compromise, that can have a good connotation and a bad connotation. When you compromise on certain things, you can also be compromising your values. And we need people in office that are not going to compromise. That doesn't mean that they're so far over to the extreme side that they're not willing to come to the middle a little bit. But again, isn't that an issue? Isn't that a tricky, fuzzy line? I know it is. It is tricky. I don't know the answer to that because they're you want to come to the center. You want to find middle ground. You want to find common ground, but you don't want to compromise your values. So it's this tricky, it's an art. It really is. And ultimately, we as citizens have to pick the people who we think and more than just think, we have to vet them, we have to research them, and we have to pray. We have to ask the big guy upstairs what he thinks, what is best. You'll just know. You'll know if you're connected, if you have that spiritual connection. You will just feel it. You will feel it when you pray about it, when you ask God. So we have to find the right people that are not going to compromise when it matters and are going to stick to like like things like abortion. That's pretty black and white. But I can see why there's some gray areas there too. So anyways, my point is we need to find the people that have good hearts and have integrity and know the Constitution and are willing to literally swear on that Constitution. They all do. They don't really mean it, but they do. But other than that, finding the people that have integrity, that's the word I just want to keep focusing on, integrity. We need to find people that are willing to just say, okay, kick me out, or I'm going to leave office after X amount of years. I'm not going to stay in there for too long. It corrupts, guys. It just does. It's like going into a kegger. Or I've never been don't drink or do drugs, but it's like going to that party where you know they're going to be drinking and doing drugs and all sorts of crappy stuff that really feels good and is amazing. It's like going to that party saying, now I know I have integrity, I'm not going to do it. Well, the longer you're at the party, a lot of people who are Christians have been taught their whole lives to avoid the appearance of evil, to not even open yourself up to that kind of temptation. So going into the political arena, it's a lot of temptation. And so they are either one of two things. Either swayed by money, so they're bought. That's the word we use, they're bought and sold by whatever lobbyist, by whatever industry, by even just another representative, another legislator who or whatever. Okay, so we know that they can be bought or they can be threatened. That's where I have personal knowledge of that happening, where they are literally, and sometimes it's anonymous, but they are literally threatened, their families' lives, their life, and money can be a part of that threatening. You're not going to be able to get your kid who's dying in the hospital. You're not going to be able to save their life unless you do this thing. So sometimes it's hard to see if you were in their shoes. Would you not do whatever you could to save your child? Would you sell the state, those people that you chose to represent? Would you sell them down the river in order to save your child? Like these are really tough questions. That's kind of why I don't ever want to be in office. It's tough. So okay, let me just finish this up. How does somebody become in the deep state? How does that happen? I'm sure not everybody who is in the the secret combinations of the government, who's under cover of being in the media, I'm sure that they didn't. Well, I think some of them did get into it with evil intent, but I bet a lot of them had good intentions from the beginning. But then, like I said, once you get to that party, and you just do one little thing, you just take Is it a hit? I don't know. You smoke one joint, and it's like, well, the next time I go, maybe I'll do one more. It didn't hurt me, or you know how it goes. You rationalize, and you just keep going down that slippery slope. And that's why the longer you're in, there's people that have been in office for 30 years. I can think of a local representative in Hurricane, 30 years. That's not good. And he's not a good guy anymore. I think he was. Um, Joe Biden, 40, I think it's 47 years. That's not good, you guys. We don't want career politicians. We all know this. We don't want career politicians to take office. There probably are some exceptions, but for the most part, we know that that's not good. So I think that the deep state is created through corruption. It's created by money. It's created by threatening people. So let's go back to the question that this particular friend presented me with was, well, why? Why would the governor be mandating masks? Why would he be doing these kinds of things if it's all some crazy conspiracy? Um, don't you think that he would just be doing it for altruistic reasons, for integrity, for God, for love of others? Don't you think that's a possibility? And I would say, sure, that's a possibility. Absolutely, that's a possibility. But let's turn that question around. Why? Why would the governor of any state, but specifically here in Utah, why would they mandate masks? Why? If we're not having surges in hospitalizations and death, and it's not running wild in our state, then why mandate the masks? All we're doing is having a case demic. If you study, if you actually have taken the moments to do the research behind this COVID stuff, you understand what the PCR test is. You understand that it's not accurate. You understand that they could amplify it as many times as they want. They could get whatever result they want. There's false positives. There's false negatives. How about this? What even counts as a case now? Are they still counting those in your family? So if you get it, are they just counting the 6 people that live with you? Are they just counting your friend that you visit often? Are they just counting, people just based on we think they probably have it, like they've been doing all along? Call it COVID. So really, are people really that sold down this lie that they still believe that cases mean anything? It's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. So, because really the only thing that matters is the fact that we can't even truly test for it. I think we do need to. Here's the thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't test at all, but I'm saying if you're not sick, why? I still think if you're sick, why? But here's the thing. If you are testing positive and you have the loss of smell and taste and you have the fever and you have the hard time breathing, that's a case. Let's call that a case. But where they're calling everything that lives that could possibly be a case, why are we relying on that? Why are we even using that kind of data? That's very irresponsible. It's fraud. So I'm going to turn that around. Why? Why would he be having us wear masks? Pause. I think we all know the answer to that, right? If let's say the governor really thinks that the masks is slowing down the spread, or it sounds like we want to stop it altogether. That's really what it feels like. Then what are the masks going to do? If he really believes, against all the data and all the evidence, not all, but the majority of it, that shows that masks probably do more harm than good. If he truly believes that masks are going to keep people from getting COVID, then what's the end game? What's the end game? It's not like it's just going to go away. It's not like it's magically going to go away. So let me tell you what I know he's thinking. Let's say he's altruistic. I think this is just gonna slow down the spread of it, and we're just gonna keep skating by and trying to do the best we can to keep our numbers low until we get the vaccine. You know I was going to say that, right? That's where this is all headed, you guys. Ultimately, it's the freaking New World Order. Ultimately, that's the big picture. It's the takeover of civilization as we know it. But the vaccine mandates are a big part of that. They're a big part of that. And you don't think he's getting money from like Rockefeller? He already admitted it. He full on admitted he's getting money from the Rockefeller Foundation. So he's getting paid. He's getting paid off. He's getting the federal funding. We know that. He's gotten a whole bunch of money. I want to say that I also read somewhere that he has to do a certain amount. He has to meet a certain amount of testing quota in order to get the funding or something. So that's why he's pushing the test so fast. The reason that we're freaking out is just because we're testing more. That's it. There's nothing really going on that's super scary. But man, if you don't keep people scared, here's what I wrote down. It's all psychological. If people are informed that they can take off the masks, that people, I'm talking to the preacher of the choir as always, but if you're the person that's wearing the mask because you think you're doing your civil duty and doing the Christian thing to wear it for your neighbor, for your grandma, then why didn't you wear it a year ago? Are you doing it because you were told to do it by the television, by experts? Or are you doing it because you think it's the right thing? You've looked at all the literature, you've prayed about it, and you know it's the right thing. So if people are informed that they can take the mask off by the television, by the experts, they will have a sense that it's totally over. Because, the pandemic itself is over, but they'll have a sense that it's totally over. Like it's pretty much, we're worry-free now. I'm going to say that in a different way. If we allow the people to feel content and not in constant fear, that fear is what's driving, is why the governor has control. If we weren't in fear mode, he wouldn't have any control. He couldn't do anything. So if they didn't have us believing that there's something to be afraid of, and if we felt like it was basically over, how in the world, oops, what'd I do? Okay, how in the world are they going to push a vaccine on us if it's over? If it's over, how are they going to get us to take a vaccine? And you better believe the governor's getting money for that vaccine in some form or fashion. Absolutely. It's all psychological. This is psychological warfare. I've been saying it since like February. We need to be trained. The deep state, our governors, our Democrat governors basically, they need to train us, don't they? They need to train us to not be able to go anywhere, leave our house without some kind of something. Now, whether it be a mask, papers, some kind of identification of anything, we're being trained right now, aren't we? I'm not, but to leave the house, in order to leave the house, you have to have something. If you're going to go out in the public square of some sort, you have to have something with you. You can't just go. You can't just be free and just go wherever you want to go. You have to have something with you at all the time. We can't relax and feel like it's over, even though it is. And because then how will they get us to take the vaccine? So I'm just saying it again. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. That's what it comes down to. So if you still believe that our governor is just doing this out of the goodness of his heart, really? Does that seem more logical to you that he's just doing this out of the goodness of his heart and really, really cares about us and wants to slow the spread? Okay, if that was the case, then why? I've asked that a number of times, I know. Why? If he really thinks this is going to slow down or stop the spread, why do we even want to do that? It's not like it's going anywhere. Ultimately, we all, let's be honest, we've probably all been exposed to it at this point. I know I've gotten, I had a really bad cold back in February, really, really bad, huge high fever. It hit me hard. It hit a lot of people hard in my area. But, over the last several months, I've had like congestion in my throat. I've had some extra mucus in my sinuses. For all I know, that was it, that I had it. So my guess is that most of us have been exposed to it already, and that we need to be exposed to it, especially the children who are at virtual zero risk of getting any kind of problem with the virus. Guys, we can't live in fear. This is no worse than any cold or flu that we've ever had. Why are we freaking out? Why? Okay, I could go on and on and on forever about this, so this is getting like too long of a video. So there, my point is, think about it. Just think about what motivates people. What's motivating your governor? What's motivating your legislators? Why are they not saying anything? Why are they being quiet? Why are doctors being quiet? Why are they not saying anything? Most doctors are smart enough to see what's going on, and they'll be like, oh, and talk to you as an aside, but they won't get on and be vocal about it unless they have balls, because they're afraid. They're afraid, just like we all are. I'm not, but some of you are. It's almost like I'm not afraid anymore because I feel God's power. But people like me who don't like the mask, we're afraid of the government. We're afraid of actual threats. We're afraid of the actual threat. The people who wear the masks, they're either afraid of the government too, and not, and being obedient, but they're also afraid of the fake fear. So it's interesting. It's fascinating, isn't it, to think about what motivates people, why people do what they do. Why am I doing this? Why am I I'm basically working full time in order to share truth with my friends, with people. Why do I do that? Do you really think my goal is just to spread lies? Or you probably just think I'm delusional and that I'm just doing this because I'm being prompted by the devil, and I'm being led by Satan to spread lies. You really have to believe that about me. If you don't, not that you have to agree with everything I'm saying, but if you don't kind of get it. So I know I've said this a lot, but pray about it. Just pray about it. God will tell you. He'll reveal the truth unto you. In these last days, guys, I even made a comment of somebody was putting something out by the CDC again, and the CDC has been saying a lot of things that are like, wow, I'm surprised they're putting that on there because it's true. But if you've noticed, the things that match the narrative that the CDC puts out, it's blasted all over the news. The things that doesn't match the narrative that the CDC puts out, they just sneak it in there. They don't really say anything. They just sneak it in there because if they get caught putting in just completely falsified information, whoever's in charge of doing that knows that they're probably going to get caught. And so if they just put the right information in and sneak it in and not make a big deal about it, then probably people won't notice as much. So that's my kitty coming on my computer, telling me I should be done. So anyways, my point to that was, maybe, because everyone's like, well, what's your source? Let's see your source. Let me see your study that shows that. And I am all about that. I get it. I've been sourcing everything from day one for like 2 years now. I've been researching my butt off and going to the actual sources and not being led and manipulated by some bot. I'm not a Russian bot, by the way. I'm a human being. And I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe we need to start practicing not putting our sources in, because ultimately every source you are trusting some agency, some person. You're trusting even when you see that a particular study that they've done X, Y, or Z, the different variables or who's funded it, you still have to trust that everything they said is what they did. So it's ultimately a matter of trusting. And when your sources are X, Y, or Z, you're basically saying these are human beings that I trust. What I said in a quote recently is, in these last days when we don't know, it's virtually impossible to tell truth just based on, not impossible, but virtually impossible, just based on reading documentation. I'm not saying evidence isn't important, data isn't important, it's super important. But what I'm saying is, if we don't go to our higher source, to the creator, to the one that knows, we all have that ability to connect to that higher power. If we don't go to him, if you whatever you believe God is, we all instinctively have that. We just do. And if you don't ask that source what is true, you're never going to know the truth. You have to connect to that source. That is how you know truth. So part of me was like, maybe we should just, for a time, get rid of all the sources and not even source anything and just simply develop that skill of discernment, that spiritual discernment that we're all going to need. And we need it now. We need it now. We needed it years ago too. But we have to develop that skill of spiritual discernment in order to make it in this world. It will literally become life and death. Not just spiritual life and death, but your physical life or death. Think about it, pray about it. Please don't trust men. Please don't trust humans. Please, this should be your go-to every time. If you feel like God is telling you that our governor is good and altruistic and holy, who am I to say you're wrong, But wow, make sure that that's accurate. Make sure that you're really feeling that that's a message from God. Don't vote for Governor Herbert Part 2, please. Please, pretty please. Vote for anybody but the Democrats. He's a Democrat. Vote for somebody who gives a freaking damn about liberty. Yeah, I said that. So anyways, have a great weekend. Oh, if you're watching this in your local, we're having a Trump rally, or it's just really a liberty rally. You don't have to even like Trump to come. It's a liberty rally. Get to know your neighbors here in St. George, Utah at 5 o'clock at Vernon and Wortham Park. Okay,